when they call you McJesus. That's what they say, Connor McJesus. And PK himself has called him that. It's a Game 7. And Shannon, PK, you guys know this a hell of a lot better than me. No matter how great you are, because nobody could ever dispute this guy's greatness or anything like that, moments are what it's all about. When we talk about a Hall of Famer and we talk about the truly, truly great ones, and we talk about them being in a special room, yes, your talent and your talent is one thing, but ultimately is what you accomplish when the moments call for you to accomplish those things that we ultimately utilize to define who you are compared to everybody else. McDavid might be a different avenue because we know that he's amongst the all-time greats, but he is still devoid of a Stanley Cup. He still hasn't won it. He's 0-4 now. And when that happens and you've got a Game 7 after overcoming a 3-0 lead, and then you're tied up 3-3 and it's a Game 7, and then that's the night you choose to be basically neutralized, that's not a great look. It doesn't take away from his greatness overall, but it was, and I'm certainly not going to dispute the fact that he deserved the Conn Smythe Award, the trophy rather, but I'm just saying, damn, I just wish he had showed up and had been more prolific last night.
It's not like basketball, Stephen A., that has happened once. Jerry West won the inaugural award in 1969. We saw it happen in football when Chuck Howley won the award when they lost to the Colts. It's happened one time in baseball in the 1960 World Series, the guy from the Yankees. He won it. But because it's happened 6 times, and John Sebastian Jaguar getting jiggy with it, I remember him for the Anaheim Ducks. Yeah, because it's happened so many times, no, I'm not surprised at all. And as you said, Stephen A., it's for the totality of the playoffs. And if you look at the totality of the playoffs, yeah, he's been outstanding. But damn, shouldn't it be a more emphasis on winning? Shouldn't you? I mean, if you look at it, they got the goalie from Florida. He's been just as impressive. And he stood on his head again last night because the goals that we're getting... the goals that we're getting through 4, 5, and 6 that allowed it to get to a Game 7, he closed the door. I mean, he had a couple of saves right there that could have swung the momentum into Edmonton's favor. But he was sensational last night. He got to get this award. I understand that he gave us some cheapies, games 4, 5, and 6. But when they absolutely had to have it throughout the totality of the playoffs, he was standing on his head in net. He deserved that award. But am I surprised that Connor McDavid? No. He's the best player. He's universally regarded as the best player. And he did have an outstanding playoffs. But he didn't deserve that award, man. You can't be giving out awards, oh, he played great. Well, he didn't play great enough for his team to win.
Take it from the Hall of Famer. PK?
Great points, but it's simple for me. It's not his time. As great as he was, I picked Florida from the very beginning. I picked Florida in 6 games. There's a reason for that. Connor McDavid, as amazing as he is, I've been calling him McJesus all year. Hockey is the ultimate team sport. Sidney Crosby, before he won his first one, had to lose in the finals. Had to watch him do it. Wayne Gretzky walked by the New York Islanders locker room, saw them all after they won those championships, all battered and bruised. Hockey is like no other sport. One man cannot do it all by himself. And as amazing as Connor McDavid was, for them to be down 3-0 in this series and drag them back into it, that's why we're talking about immortality. That's why we're talking about him in the category with all-time greats. This series should have been over a long time ago. It wasn't over because of Connor McDavid and his leadership. And I think for him, he's shown tremendous growth. The experience that he got over this playoffs and Stanley Cup final is going to pay off down the road. But it's not his time. The Florida Panthers, best defensive team the past 2 years, Stephen A. Went to the Stanley Cup final last year, lost, right? Short off season, 9 new players. 8 guys on that team did not play in the Stanley Cup final last year. They've come a long way. New coach, right? They made a big trade to bring in Matthew Tkachuk, changed the whole culture of the team. They earned this. This was Florida's Stanley Cup. It wasn't Connor McDavid's for me.
Okay.
The Edmonton Oilers, for me, isn't a good enough team to beat the Florida Panthers. Florida Panthers were a better team, and it showed yesterday.
PK, a statement and then a question for both you and Shannon. My statement is this: I want to take an opportunity to give props to the coach Paul Maurice. So obviously, the guy's 5-0 in Game 7s. It took him 26 years to win a Stanley Cup, Stanley Cup, and we get that. But when you're 5-0 in Game 7s, that says something to me about your coaching ability. So I want to give him some props as well. Here's my question to you, PK, based off of what Shannon was throwing out there. I'm coming to you, and because I want Shannon to comment about this as well. In 3 wins, 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 points. In 4 losses, 0 points, 3 assists for just 3 points. You talked about what Connor McDavid brings to the table. They average 6. They average, what was it, 6 points per game, games 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then you only score 1 yesterday, right? So I'm saying this, okay, it's a Game 7. We got Bobrovsky, 23 or 24 shots on goal. This man stopped. Okay, I'm looking at him based off of what Shannon is saying, and I'm asking you. Yeah, it's a team sport, but considering what you've said about Connor McDavid and what he brings to the table, what do you say about the fact that the Game 7 was the game that he chose not to get it done like that? How do you answer Shannon when he brings that up? Because that's really what this comes down to, right?
Yeah, and listen, all fairness, Florida shut him down yesterday. They swarmed him. There was no time and space. And all that time and space that he had the last 3 games of the series, it was all gone. It was all gone. Florida brought back their defensive game. They got to their game early and often, and they were hard on them. And they made huge defensive plays. In a Game 7, the reason why it was an easy pick for me, defense wins championships. It don't matter who you are. The best defensive teams always get it done, especially in hockey. And for me, if I'm a player going into a Game 7, I want to be on the better defensive team. And it starts with Sergei Bobrovsky. So Sergei Bobrovsky definitely deserving. 2 Vezina trophies. He won his first Vezina in 2013. That was the year I won the Norris. I remember that year specifically and how great he was. To me, he's got to be in the Hall of Fame category now, because this guy, you saw what happened to the Florida Panthers the moment this guy got a little bit tired and exhausted from how long and grueling. And that's another thing, Stephen A. How taxing it is to be in the Stanley Cup final after 82-game series, grinding through this play. You could see with Connor McDavid, he was gassed by the end of it. I mean, he played half of the 3rd period. He didn't leave the ice. So as much as I want to look at him and say, he's got to produce more, you're playing the best defensive team in the league. You can't do it all by yourself. Leon Draisaitl, his running mate, was not good enough in this Stanley Cup final. Their depth players went dry in this game. You're going to need more. He cannot do it all by himself. So for me, this wasn't his cup to win. I'm fine with him getting the Conn Smythe. If you're breaking Wayne Gretzky's record, 42 points, I mean, it was by a mile. He was the best player in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But, I share a little bit of what Shannon says. I'm a little bit old school that way. I think that the Conn Smythe Trophy winner should be from the Stanley Cup champion. Yes. And if it was, it would be Sergei Bobrovsky, no doubt.
Okay.